Hello and welcome to another on-water performance testing segment. I'm Derek from Inflatable Sup Authority, and today we are testing the Nixy Manhattan Plus. Now the Plus is a version that is 30 inches measured width compared to the regular classic Manhattan, which is 28 inches. So we'll give this board a little test, see how it goes. And so, as you can maybe kind of tell, we are paddling against the tide and wind. So this on-water test is going to be a little bit flawed from the get-go, just because there's forces against the board, or when I'm going with the tide, then it'll appear a lot faster than it actually is. So one of the things I noticed just paddling from my knees here is the fact that this board definitely goes quicker against the tide than my experience with any of the all-around boards I tested. Like, usually we're at about the height of the tide where it's starting to really come in. So as we paddle against it, it doesn't feel like I'm going as slow as if I was on an all-around board. And something I also kind of noticed was the edging. Like, if you go to one side, this thing really edges. Like, I'm leading pretty far here. Other side, the edging on this is really good. And so far, while paddling against the wind, stability-wise, it's not too bad for a touring board. I was expecting it to be a little more wiggly, but I also do feel you have to concentrate a tiny bit with your feet. I'm about 6'1", and geez, I don't know my weight now, but I think I'm like 185. Thanks to all the treats at MB Bakery in Salt Spring there. But overall, yeah, this board's not bad. You definitely feel the edges a lot more. Like, this is, you can go way further each side. That's because of the profile of the board. Mr. Boater has given us an opportunity to test this in the waves, so let's do this. Oh yeah, you can see the nose just cuts right in there, eh? You also notice that the nose, so I turn around here, the nose is not as uplifted as the classic Manhattan, or actually other all-round boards in general. There's actually very little rocker if you just take a closer look there. Okay, so now that we've gone a little ways, we're going to test the tracking. That'll be skewed, but let's just do it. At least you'll know whenever you're paddling against the tide of this board what the tracking can do. So we're gonna aim for that dock there. We're gonna see how many strokes per side. 1, 2. Okay, 4 side. Let's see how many the other side. Steady it. So about 4 that side as well, before I have to kind of counter. So again, test a little bit flawed in this case, but I definitely thought this board would track a little bit better. Now, I have heard some other reviewers say that the Dolphin Fin makes the board a little bit more squirrely than what they're used to for a touring board. So what we're gonna do whenever it's calm out is we're gonna test it with the actual proper touring fin. We're gonna see how much of a difference that actually makes to this tracking. But so far, battling against the tide, it's about 4 strokes a side. Now, a little bit more about the board. As I'm spending more time on it, I am noticing that I'm getting more comfortable leaning on the sides a bit more and trusting it. Like, I'm leaning on the side right now, and I do see that it kind of helps with tracking performance a bit, especially with a touring board. Pretty nice. So yeah, it'll take you a little bit if you're on this board to get used to sort of how like rocky it is, like the side to side, like it's way more than an all-around board, so you have to get used to that little bit of extra snap. But once you do, it's a very pleasant ride. I like it. The wind has just kind of stopped a bit, so it's a lot more pleasant to paddle. And I do also notice a little bit of bounce on this board. Like when waves hit it, sometimes you'll feel a little bit of a bounce, or you'll even feel it from the fin as well. Like I feel that you feel things on this board more than you do with most all-around boards. Okay, let's try standing and going in waves now. These are little waves. This guy's nice enough to really slow down, but let's see how this board handles it. Woo! Nice. Cuts right through. Pretty cool. Welcome to Blackie Spit. Now, I think we're getting to the part of our journey where we're gonna start to turn back and ride the nice tide in instead of battling against it the entire time. So let's do some sweep strokes. We're gonna do a 360, see how many it takes. So let's go. So, 1, 7. So about 6.5, 7 sweep strokes. Now keep in mind the tide influences things, so this test again a little bit flawed, but it's good just to get a general principle and kind of see how the board actually reacts. All right, we're paddling back now. We're gonna try the tracking test again. We're gonna shoot for that little dock thing that just pops out from the middle of the woods there. So let's use that as a guide for the tracking this board and see how it is when the tide is pushing you. So we're gonna try to make sure that we're about even here. So, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, let's just say about 9, 8.5, 9 to correct it. So now let's get back to position here and we'll try the other side. We have the wind to our backs, so hopefully this is gonna make it a little less biased. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. Yeah, about 9 each side. So whenever you're going with the tide, about 9. When you're going against it, it's about 4 strokes a side. Remember how I was saying it would be easier to go with the tide? Like, look at this. Now I feel like a speed champion, and every stroke just gives you that much more glide. It feels really nice, especially after battling the tide the entire time. So my on-water impressions of the Manhattan Plus in tidal conditions, right in the midst of high tide coming in, literally right at the worst possible time probably. I like it. You definitely feel that you can get a lot more ground in, especially if you're paddling from your knees actually. The stability takes a little bit of time to get used to, but once you do, you start to trust the board swaying back and forth a little bit more. You definitely feel a lot more things with this paddleboard. Like, it does feel stiffer, and that's because of the 4 stringers. Well, 2 stringers, one at the front, one at the top, one at the bottom. And to 2 carbon side rails on the sides to protect it. So I do think that this does help with the rigidity. Like, you're bouncing on this board, it stops. It's not like it's a banana or anything like that. It behaves really well. And I do also like that they don't have a lot of rocker. Even though you will get more wet going through the waves, it just cuts through it a lot nicer as opposed to riding over and making the board a little more unbalanced. So I like that as well. Overall though, I really like this board. I'm definitely gonna use it a lot during my excursions that are over, 2 hours, etc. And this is the lake test for the Nixy Manhattan G4 Plus. So we tested in ocean conditions. Is a little bit inconclusive testing. So now we're in nice calm lake conditions where we can get a little bit better read on the on-water performance. So let's first do stability and go from there. There you go. So like I said, there's a lot more rocking that you have to get used to this board compared to, say, a little bit of a thicker all-around board. Now we're gonna do some tracking tests. We're gonna shoot for that hanger there and we're gonna see how many strokes per side this board can go. So I'll do it from a stop. So let's get the nose sort of pointed here. Okay. Okay, let's just say about 5. Now let's get the nose pointed again. The other side. So I am noticing that I would have thought on calm water conditions the tracking would have been a little bit better, considering I was able to do 9 strokes whenever I was paddling with the tide at Nixy. I think a lot of this has to do with the fin, the Dolphin Fin that is included with the Manhattan G4 Plus. But overall, still a nice little ride. Like, it feels fast when you're paddling it. Okay, now we're gonna do some maneuverability tests. So we're just gonna do some side paddles to see how many we can do to do a 360 on this 12.6 touring board. So let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So let's just say 15.5, 16 side paddles. And now that the wind and current isn't too bad, we're gonna do some sweep strokes and get a little bit more of a conclusive test. So we're at a standstill, start doing some sweep strokes. 1, 2, 7. So about 7 sweep strokes, which is actually pretty good for a touring board. If memory serves me correctly, the all-around Ultra 11 did 6 sweep strokes. So pretty good. All right, so we're done with the Dolphin Fin. So now we're gonna put on another fin. Okay, so this is the fin that we're gonna use. This is a touring fin, flexible touring fin made by Sea Gods. So I'll just show you how to install this fin into the fin box whenever you're using something that is not Nixy. Show you how to do this. Put the washer in here, place it, and then bring it all the way down to the back here. Insert the fin. Should just slide right in. Just want to line it up a bit. Readjusting, but as soon as the fin is right in there, you just screw that into the washer and you're off. So we are going to track for that hanger down there. So we're gonna do from a standstill, see how many strokes aside we can do. So let's just get the nose sort of even. There we go. Okay, let's do left stroke. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so about 7 strokes. So the fin is actually making a little bit of a difference here, especially as you get going. So now let's do standstill, other side. Correct a bit. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so about 7 aside. Comparing that to the 5, which is an improvement. Okay, so now we're gonna do some side paddles and see how much strokes we can do here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Woo! Almost ate it there. So 21 side paddles, which is actually 5 more than the 16 that we counted with the Dolphin Fin. So you can tell that the touring fin definitely provides a bit more resistance in the water when turning. Okay, we are standing still, so now we're gonna do sweep strokes. So let's just get ourselves kind of even there. Okay, let's go. 1, 2, 6, about 6.5. Interesting. So this is about, the sweep strokes are about the same actually as the Dolphin Fin setup. Interesting findings here. Okay, now that we have a little bit of a more clear patch of water, there's actually not a lot of wind right in this part, so let's just shoot for that little jetty there. See how many strokes aside we can do before we correct. At a normal pace, a normal paddling pace, let's just say. Okay, so let's start right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so interestingly enough, if you lean on the rail, you can get about 10 strokes. So these are the findings. Hope you enjoyed the content. Feel free to like and subscribe if you appreciate this test or you're thinking getting the Manhattan Plus G4. I personally like it. It definitely, each stroke, you can definitely feel more glide than an all-around board. Any of them that I've tested, that's for sure. Because of its length as well. It is really nice. I feel like this board had 2 side fins, which will give it a little bit more drag, but I feel like that would also make the board track a bit better as well. It seems with the shape and the one fin, it tracks a bit better, or about just as well as some of the better tracking all-around boards. But they have 2 side fins, while this one does not. But overall, happy with this board. If you want to paddle for some distance, this is a good board for you. I do like the stringers on it. You can feel how stiff it is, like I'm bouncing on it and then it just stops, which is kind of nice. There is a lot more play on it, so it's something you do have to kind of get used to. This is your first touring board, but overall I like this touring board. It's a great product. I'm definitely going to use it for my fitness paddling. Cheers.